sound prosecutors of the Department of Justice by operatives of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. The appalling record of the government in prosecuting drug-related offenders aggravates this expose. In his inspiring and sparkling inaugural address, President Obama warned corrupt regimes, and I quote him, "To those who cling to power through corruption and deceit, know that you are on the wrong side of history, but we will extend a hand if you are willing to unclench your fists," unquote. Will our leaders, both in government and in the private sector, unclench their fists? I will leave that question for your conference to answer. How about in protecting and promoting human rights? What is our government's track record? According to CHR Chairperson Laila M. Lima, I did a little research, Laila, during her speech commemorating the 60th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights last December, our country's overall record, according to her, is, I quote her, dismal. She deplored the recent resurgence of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearance, open quotation, with the armed forces as the primary suspect, close quotation. She eloquently declared, and I quote our chairperson, "We have not seen a single conviction in the cases of extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, and torture. We have not seen a sufficient supply of adequate housing for all Filipinos, or an equitable distribution of wealth and land, or compensation for the injured during operations of state security forces, or a lasting peace agreement between the government and the insurgent communities in the South, or enough prosecutions by the Ombudsman, or the light tunnels and in our fight against corruption, or decent education available to every single Filipino child, or speedy justice for the thousands who languish in jail without finality of their court cases, or true and equal accessibility to employment for the disabled, or the right of suffrage available to all, or the full protection of the vote of those who exercise their right to suffrage, or the end of the suppression of the freedom of speech and of expression and of assembly." Close quotation. During the same occasion, Archbishop Angel Lacuneo, the President of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, lamented that the observance of Human Rights Day, and I quote him, "gives us a feeling of shame and embarrassment because of the innumerable human rights violations that have remained unexamined, unexplained, and unsolved, or covered up by events." Close quotation. The human rights group Karapatan was more specific. According to a news report printed on December 10, 2008, Karapatan documented 977 victims of extrajudicial killings, 1,010 victims of torture, 1,464 victims of illegal arrest during the 8 years of the Arroyo administration. During the 10-month period alone, from January to October 2008, there were at least 4 cases of forced disappearances and 50 victims of extrajudicial killings. The harrowing tale narrated by Raymond Manalo of his and his brother Reynaldo's torture, as well as that of missing UP students Karen Empeño and Sherlyn Cadapan at the hands of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, aired in ANC's Storyline 2 weeks ago, should convince even the most jaded among us of the urgent need to vindicate violations of human rights in our country. Need I say more? No. I will leave these observations of our courageous CHR chairperson and eminent CBCP president, as well as the statistics of the hardworking Karapatan and the heart-wrenching story of Raymond Manalo for your conference to examine, reflect, and act on. In this whirl of this dismal and worsening track record of corruption and human rights violations in our country, what has been the response of the leaders of our country? I'm afraid mostly rhetoric, evasiveness, and finger-pointing, like calling Transparency International bias and suggesting that it had been bought by the opposition, or ignoring the World Bank reports and hoping its jarring findings would slip into oblivion, or proposing some kind of authoritarian rule and shooting drug suspects like Ferdinand Marcos did, or condemning our presidential form of government and instituting the parliamentary system as the end-all remedy to the ills of governance, or dismissing President Obama's warning and saying that all governments in the world are corrupt anyway. Sus Maria. Let me be a little more specific to demonstrate my point. After the drug enforcement officers hurled the current bribery allegations against the prosecutors of the Department of Justice, our President immediately called for the creation of an independent citizens committee to investigate the brouhaha and recommend punitive actions against the area officials. On the surface, this proposal may serve to quiet down public indignation on the issue by shifting attention to the work of the Citizens Committee. But on deeper reflection, I believe that this is not the proper solution. Why should private citizens be given the burden of discharging the responsibility of public officers when there are enough public offices created by our Constitution and given ample powers and prerogatives by law to deal precisely with these shenanigans? The Office of the Ombudsman was conceived by the Constitution to precisely meet this kind of contingency. This office was mandated to, and I quote our Constitution, investigate on its own or on complaint by any person, any act or omission by any public official, employee, office, or agency when such act or omission appears to be illegal, unjust, improper, or inefficient. Close up.